My name's George Kidd. I'm the Chief Commissioner of the Direct Marketing Commission, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to say a few words about the Commission, what we are, why we exist, who we are, what we do and how we do it, and a little bit about how we will engage with member companies. So what is the Direct Marketing Commission and why does it exist? The Commission is a product of the DMA, and it is, if you like, the counterpart to the DMA Code of Practice. If the Code of Practice sets the standards expected of members and the industry, then it's the DMC's responsibility to deal with public complaints or concerns over standards and to test whether there has been any breach in the standards by members of the DMA. It's a critical part, I think, of a self-regulatory model that people can complain, that the complaints are taken seriously, that they're investigated objectively, and that fair, sound decisions are taken. And that, I think, is a key part of convincing the government, convincing the media, and others that there is an effective self-regulatory model and that we can be entrusted with that responsibility. So how's the DMC made up? Well, there are 5 commissioners appointed by the DMA. We're appointed on 3-year terms. 3 come from outside the industry, myself, Michelle Peters, who regulates in financial services and in the telecommunications sector, and Martin Percy, who was on the ASA board and council and has a deep understanding of advertising, along with 2 industry members, currently Danny Meadows-Clue and David Cope. The DMC, the commissioners, are supported by a secretariat which is within the DMA organisation, and they help us process the complaints that we get, advise complainants about their rights, and investigate cases with and for us. The aim, which I hope you will see there, is to get that right balance of understanding of the industry with independence and objectivity that people will expect of a regulatory structure. What does the Direct Marketing Commission do? Well, we filter, we signpost, we investigate, we feedback, and we review. We filter cases to identify those that can properly be dealt with by member companies without the DMC becoming formally involved and without investigations and adjudication. We signpost to other agencies when we have non-member complaints and where it's appropriate for other agencies, particularly perhaps the ASA or the Information Commissioner's Office, to deal with an issue of advertising, marketing or privacy. We investigate where there is a seeming serious breach of the DMA Code of Practice and a member company is involved, and we'll come on to that in more detail in a second. But we also want to feedback and review. We want to preempt and prevent problems arising or re-arising, as is the case. So we always give feedback to the DMA and its councils on every investigation that we carry out, and every single investigation that we carry out. We're going to want to say, this is the lesson we've learned from this investigation. How can we share it with the relevant councils and with the members? And we'd like to look at sectors in more substance. We don't just want to be driven by complaints, so we may once or twice a year review a product or a sector of activity in direct marketing in more depth and just sort of health check it to see where we are in terms of compliance. It may be a well-established sector where we know we've had some issues about complaints in the past, or it may be a new sector where there's a lot of issues around consumer and public understanding and awareness. Across the board there, I think what you're seeing is a form of insurance, if you like, ensuring and ensuring that there is public trust in direct marketing and that the government can rely on us and the industry and the DMA to maintain that high level of public trust. So how do we deal with cases and engage with members? Well, proportionality matters a lot to us. We don't want to get involved with formal, timely, potentially costly in people and resource terms investigations where something can be resolved informally and quickly by referring the issue back to the member company and letting them sort it with the customer involved. So wherever that's possible, wherever that's the appropriate and proportionate line to take, that's how we'll deal with you and with our complainants. If something more serious is going on, if there's broader harm out there, if there's a threat to public trust in direct marketing, a threat to the marketplace in which all members are trading, then we will look at things more formally. We will set time frames. We will deal with the individual member company by correspondence. We'll explain the concerns. We'll highlight the code provisions involved. We'll be looking for your thoughts and explanations. We'll be looking for data, and we may ourselves take some expert advice in order that we can reach a good, sound, timely decision about what happened and what needs to happen next. There's no cost to the people who complain to the DMC about a DMA member, and there's no charge to the DMA member for the processing of an investigation, but we have to recognise that there are costs involved for you in dealing with the DMC. There's time, there's resource allocated to it, and we're sensitive to that, and I hope that will be evident to you in the unlikely event that we and you have to engage in any formal way. But I think the one thing I would highlight here is objectivity. We're not there as the agent or the representative of a complainant. Sometimes it feels like that, I'm sure, for DMA member companies, but that's not the case. Nor are we there to represent the DMA and defend the DMA member company against a legitimate complaint. Our job is to reach an objective, sound, informed decision about a situation and then work out the best way forward. So we do not take sides. Having said that we are proportionate in what we do and explained the various ways in which we can do it, it's probably just worth highlighting where we are in number terms. Thankfully, we don't deal with a very large number of complaints every year. That's a tribute to the industry and to the members of the DMA. But we only currently deal with between 250 and 300 complaints annually. Most of those can be resolved informally with and by members, and a large number can also be resolved by referral to other agencies who have a direct responsibility for the issue, and in cases where there's a non-member company involved. Where we do have to investigate formally, we're talking about maybe 15 to 20 cases a year. So about 10% of the business that comes in results in a formal investigation. I think that's a fair test of whether a regulatory organisation has the right sort of triage, makes the right tests before it becomes involved in things, and is broadly proportionate in what it does. What those numbers do not include are the complaints, as the public see them, to the telephone preference service, or any of the other marketing preference service issues that are referred to other agencies, so email and mail issues that are often referred to the Advertising Standards Authority. So what are the outcomes and sanctions possible as a result of those 15 or 20 informal investigations every year? Well, the first thing to say is that we try to be very clear, very transparent about how we go about things, and to give people the right sort of rights and responsibilities. Adjudications are notified to both parties. The complainant cannot contest a decision of the Direct Marketing Commission, but member companies can appeal a decision on the grounds set out in the Code of Practice. If you appeal a decision, an adjudication, it goes via the DMC to an independent appeal commissioner who will look at the case, again against the grounds set out in the Code, and will let me and my fellow commissioners have his advice. We may choose to revise an adjudication based on that advice. Once the final decision has been taken, the adjudication is published. Now that may not mean a press notice, but it will certainly mean that it's published on the DMC website. And this is a point I would like to emphasise in this webinar. Regulatory bodies have to be transparent in what they do. Publishing decisions is a key part of that. And the media and other stakeholders do take interest in these decisions. Rulings by regulatory bodies can spur strong reactions from directors, owners and shareholders. And I think this is part of the message of preempting and preventing, of looking at decisions or looking at the risk of becoming involved in a regulatory situation like that and preventing it happening in the first place, or certainly preventing it happening again. If there is a decision, an adjudication, then there will be some form of sanction. If a member company is found to have breached the code, there are a range of sanctions set out in the code, and the code, as I've said before, is the absolute framework within which we operate. We may be looking for an undertaking that the breach will not be repeated. We may be looking for redress or compensation. We may be issuing a formal written warning, which would be made public. There may be occasions, more serious occasions, on which a membership is suspended or even terminated. And we do have a responsibility in certain situations to refer matters on to other agencies. If the DMC had seen behaviour which was clearly unlawful, serious and harmful to the public at large, we would be duty bound to bring that to the attention of the relevant legal authorities. But that's not the point at which I would like to close. I think what I would like to emphasise is this concept of preempting and preventing problems. What I would like to emphasise is that if we do get into a situation where there has been a breach of the code, our first focus is on, if you like, stop and remedy. Let's stop the harm that's taken place, and insofar as we practically can, let's remedy the consequences of the behaviour that we've seen. As an extension of the DMA, we're not looking to score points. We're not looking for rows with members. We're looking to build compliance. We're looking to build trust in the market. If there's a strong standard of compliance, there's a strong trust and confidence in indirect marketing and in the marketplace, then you're in a sound, healthy situation. So what we're looking for in cases that come before the Commission is understanding of what's happened and acceptance of responsibility for doing something about it and the right action. And that, we think, is a very positive way forward.